Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to discuss with you chapter 4 of class 12th business studies, that is planning. In this chapter, I'm discussing with you meaning and importance of planning. So let us start. All type of organizations, whether it is government, a private business, small business, every organization, everywhere, India, America, UK, everywhere needs planning to turn the dream of increase in sale, earning higher profits and getting success in business. All businessmen need to think about the future, make the predictions and achieve the target. To decide what to do, how to do and when to do, they do planning. Yes, they do planning. Now let us discuss what planning is all about. Planning is deciding in advance what is to be done and how it is to be done. So we can say that all managerial functions start only after the function of planning. So planning is the basic managerial function. So before doing something, manager must formulate an idea. He has to think about a particular task which he needs to do. So planning is closely connected with the creativity and the innovation. Now why we say the creativity and innovation? Because when a manager thinks about the various alternatives, he applies his mind. He thinks about every pros and cons and then make a fruitful plan which can be practically implemented. But the manager would first have to think about the objectives. Yes, plans are made only when you set your objectives right. Only then a manager will be able to know where he has to go. So, objective setting is the basic, the primary starting point of the planning. Planning actually bridges the gap between where we are and where we want to go. In simple terms, it means that planning takes you from the present to the future. So, you move from your present to the future through this act of planning. And planning is done by all managers at every level, whether it is top level, middle level or the lower level, and in each and every department. This basic function of planning is done by everybody. So here in this picture you can see easily that a manager is thinking about going to the future, and here you can see a gap. So this gap is filled by the planning process. Planning makes you focus towards your objectives. Your goals are totally clear to you and you put all your energies towards achieving your goals. So what does planning involve? Planning involves setting objectives, then developing appropriate course of action to achieve these objectives. So first of all, you need to set the objective, then you need to find out the various courses of action, that how you can easily achieve your objectives. So basically, objective provide direction to the managerial decisions, and planning provides a rational approach. Now why we say that rational approach? Because you think totally scientifically. You analyze everything and you totally avoid the hit and trial method. So your approach becomes totally scientific, which we call based on logic, some reasoning, and that is known as the rational approach. All members need to work towards achieving which goals? Mainly the organizational goals. And these goals set the targets which need to be achieved and against which your actual performance will be measured. So how we can conclude this aspect of planning? Planning means you set your objectives, you set your targets, then you formulate an action plan to achieve these particular targets. So it is concerned with both the things, ends and means. Now what does ends and means means? It means what is to be done and then how it is to be done. And one thing is very important. Whenever you make any type of plan, which thing you need to be very conscious about, that is the time frame. All your effort will become futile if you do not consider the time element, because time is a very limited resource and it need to be utilized very judiciously. If we do not consider this factor, you all know that business environment is very dynamic. Even a certain minor change can affect your business in a negative way. So you need to plan, you need to think all your efforts towards be channelizing towards achievement of your organizational goals within a limited time frame. So planning will become futile exercise if it is not acted upon or implemented. If we make a plan and we think that it is going to give us success, it will not happen unless and until you make your efforts towards achieving those goals by implementation of the plans. So implementation of plan is very, very important, and then you need to keep your time frame in mind. Let us go to the meaning of planning. What planning is? Planning is thinking in advance what is to be done, when it is to be done, how it is to be done, and by whom it is to be done. First of all, I must be sure about what I need to do. Then when it is to be done. When means the time. How it is to be done, like the methods, different ways, techniques which you are going to use. And by whom it is to be done, it means you are talking about the personnel, the persons who will be responsible for implementing these plans. So planning bridges the gap between where we are standing today and where we want to reach. Today is your present and where we want to reach is your future, as we already discussed. Now, moving on to the definition part. What planning is, how we can define it. Planning is, first of all, setting objectives for a given time period. So here also the starting point is setting objectives, and then you need to be sure about the time period. Formulating various courses of action to achieve them. It means you need to find out the alternatives, and then when you find out that there are a number of alternatives, you need to make the decisions, and then selecting the best possible alternative. From where you need to select the alternative? From the various courses of action which you have decided upon, from the various courses of action available. If we plan, it means we are securing our future, we are moving towards the success. And if we fail to plan, it means we are planning to fail. So planning is a very important aspect for every type of organization. Let us discuss the importance of planning. Why planning is important for all organizations? Number one, planning provides us directions. Direction means it is the starting point. Direction will make it sure that where you want to go. So how work is to be done, and the direction for action will be stated in advance. Planning ensures that the goals or the objectives are clearly stated. First of all, you need to make your goals, your objectives very, very clear to everyone, so that there is no confusion about what we want to achieve. They act as a guide. Yes, these goals act as a guide for deciding what action should be taken and in which direction. So goals are the starting point of planning. Everybody should be aware about what they need to do and how they will be doing all these things. Departments, individuals, everybody, they work in coordination. So every element of the organization, departments, individuals, employees, everybody, they need to be aware about the total directions. If there was no planning, employees would be working in different directions, and if they will be working in different directions, then it will become very difficult for the organization to achieve their desired goals. So we need to avoid this situation of confusion, and planning will provide you direction. So who gives you direction? Planning gives you directions. As you can see in this picture, with the help of planning, this confusion state of mind will go away and your path will become very, very clear. Now, second point of importance of planning is planning reduces the risk of uncertainty. We all know that future is very uncertain. We cannot predict it 100%. But what we can do is that the negative impact can be minimized if we plan in a very judicious manner by deciding in advance the task to be performed. Planning shows the way to deal with the changes and the uncertain events. It will prepare you to handle the negative effects, the difficulties of the dynamic environment. We cannot eliminate the changes. We cannot handle everything of the business environment. But what we can do is that we can prepare ourselves for meeting these uncertainties. So these uncertainties can be easily met with the help of planning. So managerial responses can be developed to handle the situation. So planning will help you in reducing the state of confusion, unclearness. It will make the thoughts clear. It will make you certain. Now moving on to the third point of importance of planning is that planning reduces overlapping and wasteful activities. Now what are these things? Overlapping and wasteful activities. If we do not plan, it might happen that two or more persons might be doing the similar type of work. So this situation can be avoided if we allot them the work in a very clear manner. It will help in avoiding the confusion and misunderstanding. So planning ensures clarity in thought and action, and work will go on in a very smooth manner without any sort of interruptions. So useless activities can be easily eliminated, or if not eliminated, can be minimized. And it will become very easier to detect any sort of inefficiencies, and at a very same time you can take the necessary corrective measures to deal with them easily. Now move on to the next point of importance, that is planning promotes innovative ideas. Now what innovative ideas are? New ideas, something new, and that new idea will emerge only when you apply your mind. And where you are applying your mind? At the time of planning. Since planning is the first function of management, new ideas can take the shape of concrete plans. It is the most challenging activity every management faces. So it will lead to growth and prosperity of the business if your idea is very unique, very innovative, and very fruitful. So planning gives you different type of ideas, new ideas, which can really help your business organization. Next is planning facilitates decision making. Very difficult aspect is taking the decisions, because you need to make choice from amongst the various alternative courses of action available to you. A manager need to evaluate every alternate and find out the most viable proposition. So it means each and every alternate has to be studied in detail, and he need to find out every alternative's positives as well as negatives, and then he will see the feasibility and will select the most viable alternative. So planning involves setting targets, predicting the future, and then it will help you in taking the rational decisions. So a manager can easily find out that which option is correct for the organization and which one is incorrect. Now move on to the next point, that planning establishes standard for controlling. You can control anything only if you have set certain benchmarks. So these benchmarks or the standards are provided by the planning. So planning involves setting of goals, and then when you do something or the results are there, you can compare the results with the standards which you have set at the time of planning. So planning provides the goals or the standards against which your actual performance can be measured, and if there is any deviation, managers can easily take the corrective measures so that the negative consequences can be avoided timely. So you set your goals, you take the necessary action, then managers measure the action, and if any corrective measure is required, that can be done. So controlling is possible only if we do the planning. Here in this picture you can see that controlling function verifies that all allotted tasks are being performed on time, because as we discussed, time frame is very important for planning. Now what is the conclusion? We can say that planning is the prerequisite for controlling. If there were no goals and standards, how you will find out the deviations? So if there are standards, if there are targets, if you have made certain plans, then your controlling part will become very easy, because you can find out the deviations. How you will find out the deviation? Because you will have certain goals, certain standards, and when you compare your actual performance with the standards, you can find out the difference. So the nature of corrective action depends upon the extent of deviation. If the deviation is minor, you can simply avoid taking any sort of corrective measure. But if deviations are very high in extent, then certainly you need to take corrective actions. So we can say that planning provides the base for controlling. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe my channel. Thank you.